Good morning and welcome to Saturday special of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. We have been convulsed, the whole world, by coronavirus. The deaths have not been very high. The fatalities are very low. But then the fear generated directly, indirectly, really or fake one is there. People are devastated, economies are tanking, and people feel that possibly this is going to last for quite some time. At the same time, there's a fear that is this phenomena going to become a permanent one? Would there be a repeat of pandemics? You remember that it used to be a feature that would happen once in a century, and history shows that 20s have been a period of pandemics. There was a pandemic in 1420, plague, 1520, another plague, 1620, it was malaria, 1720 was a huge plague, 1820 was once again the same horrible one, and then 1920 was the Spanish flu. Then 2020 we know. But in between there have been other pandemics. There was Ebola, there was SARS, there was MERS, chikungunya, and so on. Though the impact of them was limited locally, AIDS was one of the biggest pandemics. People have not stopped talking about it and they still suffer. But the point now is the hype generated this time makes people fearful. They are frightened. And then comes the news that this is not the end of the pandemics. That with all the efforts and the advances in the medical health sciences, despite all the work done by the researchers and the scientists, the fear of the pandemics is going to be there and there's a heightened one. And then the scientists come in and they say that there's a fear of worse pandemics, worse than this. 3 days back, CDC warned acute flaccid myelitis, AFM, epidemic falling, in which 60 children have already died. It's a medical emergency needing immediate care, urged CDC. Rare disease, neurological disease, affects the spinal cord of the children, leading to paralysis. And that epidemic is already in the formative stages. As I said, 60 people have already died. And there is danger of this coming in a large number by the end of summer. This is going to be a game changer. Then comes the news yesterday that China has another epidemic. Hopefully, it doesn't become pandemic. But while coronavirus was caused by the virus from the bats, the new pandemic called FSTS, I hope it remains an epidemic, doesn't become a pandemic, is caused by the ticks. The ticks bite you and you can develop high fever with thrombopenia syndrome. It has already killed 7 people and 60 more have fallen sick in one day. And the health officials in China are really, really worried. But is this the end? I don't think so. And the scientists don't think so. As a matter of fact, it is being said that at present the scientists have identified 1.7 million viruses 1.7 million. They are identified ones. How many are unidentified? Nobody knows. And these identified 1.7 million are estimated to exist in mammals and the water birds and are likely to cause pandemics given the proper conditions. The causes: rampant deforestation, intensive farming, agriculture expansion, and infrastructure infection. And as a matter of fact, all these things, which are essential, are responsible for causing pandemics. Mosquitoes have become immune to all the insecticides. And there used to be malaria, now there's malaria, there's elephantitis, there is dengue, there's chikungunya. TB kills 5,000 people across the world every day. And then this news from the group of biodiversity experts that the future pandemics are on the horizon. The dark clouds are already gathering. But then, is there a hope? According to the scientists, in an article published Monday by the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, says that the responsibility of pandemics rests squarely on the shoulders of the political leadership and the public at large. You destroy nature, you destroy biodiversity, and the result would be pandemics. There's a single species in this world which is responsible for the pandemic, and that is we human beings. As with the climate and biodiversity crisis, recent pandemics are a direct consequence of human activity. They are not something sent from the heaven like a bolt of light. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And our action in destroying nature not only cuts us from the mother nature, but also invokes the wrath of nature. Now, I'm not a religious fanatic who would say that this is the result of the karma. No. But it's simple that once these viruses in the water, on the land, they are harbored by the animals, wild animals, and the water, fish and others. The moment you start harvesting them, they'll be transferred to man. And then human to human transfer automatically came. And then the mutation starts. It's almost like nuclear fission. We have forgotten that our whole human activity is based on a very limited paradigm. And the paradigm is absolutely selfish economic development. Economic development at any cost, at the cost of destroying nature, at the cost of destroying wildlife, at the cost of our enjoyment of everything. And now we have a very small window of opportunity, but it's there. And the window is on overcoming the challenges of the current crisis and to avoid doing what we have been doing. As a matter of fact, the report includes three chairs of the comprehensive 2019 Global Assessment Report on Biodiversity. And it found, as I said, 1.7 billion species of plants and animals are at risk of extinction within decades. And if that happens, all the viruses would be released. These species are harboring those viruses. You kill them, the virus will find a new habitat, and that habitat is going to be you. Now, whether you like it or you don't like it, that's a fact of nature. And what's required? The government sustainable plans, stimulus plans, which are absolutely aimed at only the economic development, have to be altered, have to be changed. They must include sustainable and nature positive initiatives. I am amazed that when the stimulus plans are drafted, they are drafted with the bean counters who cannot think beyond the narrow vision of jobs, which is important. I don't deny it, extremely important. But can the nature of jobs not be altered? Can the nature of economy not be altered? Can the nature of our economic system not be integrated with nature? It's critically expedient at this time to relax environment standards and prop up industries. And those industries which we think to be extremely important, like intensive agriculture. With the increase in population, you need intensive agriculture. But that's harmful. Then long distance transportation, such as airlines. The biggest cause is this extreme traveling. This distance transportation is one, fossil fuel energy dependent. Secondly, it brings in people, animal species, and the virus they are harboring into a new land and transfer that to that place. With all the medical tests that they might be there to inhibit the people coming in, the political considerations always reign supreme and the people come in. And that is doing without requiring urgent and fundamental changes which are required. And that is, in fact, subsidizing the emergence of the future pandemics. And then there's the wanton greed of the human beings and the governments for allowing microbes that lead to novel diseases and jump from animals to the humans. As I said, rampant deforestation, uncontrolled expansion of agriculture, and now the town agriculture is coming in, urban agriculture, high rise agriculture, mining, infrastructure development, as well as the exploitation of the wild species have created a perfect storm. And that perfect storm is for the spillover of the diseases from the wildlife to the people. So you go to the wildlife, exploit it. All the diseases which were in the confine of the wildlife are transferred to human beings. So there are three facets to be considered in the stimulus plans. And this is a wake up call for all the governments and strategists. I had talks with the senior officials and the politicians. They agree, but they don't do it because they think that all these things can wait, which they cannot. The political leadership always takes urgent to be more important than what is important. Urgent has always a priority over important, and that is wrong. The countries have got to strengthen biodiversity regulation. And then you have to adopt a One Health approach to the decision making that makes and recognizes complex interconnections between not the people all over the world, of course they are there, but between people all over the world, between animals, plants, and our shared environmental health system. And then the biggest thing, we when we make system, the WHO and others, we talk of the charity and looking after the vulnerable countries. We don't really, because economic consideration is supreme. And then the people are going to say that this is going to be very expensive. Yes, it is going to be expensive, but in the long run, it's going to be cheaper. but it's a vital investment in the interest of all our future coming generations to prevent future global outbreaks. What will happen if we have such a plan, which is biodiversity protecting, nature protecting? It will cost about tens of billions of dollars a year, and that has been calculated by these biodiversity experts and economic experts. But in one pandemic, in one century, costs about $1 trillion. So, in fact, spending on these new stimulus plans is much cheaper. Business as usual will not work. We have got to change. Right now, pandemics are waiting to emerge and happen. And you hope for a vaccine. That's not a good strategy. You need to deal with the underlying drivers. As a matter of fact, we have to be optimistic because nature is very resilient. You take one step to protect biodiversity and nature, and be sure nature is going to take 10 steps to protect you. You can build better and emerge from the current crisis stronger and more resilient. But to do so means adopting those policies and actions that protect nature so that nature can in return come and protect us. Now, is that something wrong? Is that something which is not possible? No. It is quite in the range of possibility and probability, but we would not do so because we are suffering from mental myopia, short sighted. It's always a immediate goal which is important, not a long term goal. And that is where the tragedy lies. Our disconnection and our antipathy to nature and biodiversity is going to cause repeated attacks of pandemics, and there'll be nobody but to be blamed but you and me and our blind leaders. Do we hope that sense would dawn? At least there's no harm in hoping and making an effort to make the people realize that this is the need of the hour. Let's take action right now and here. Thank you.